Or had like 80k damage or something. He hard carried us, like ridiculously hard.
Alright. Okay, so before
I started going top on accident. That was just a mistake on my
okay.
part. I realized it halfway through running and went red.
So, what do you think? You already mentioned that you either play too passive or too aggressive. What are some other weaknesses you think you have? Your major weaknesses?
I think this is more of just an experience thing. Like I need to just play more to kind of feel the character more. But I misjudge how far I can like leap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'll misjudge how far I can actually leap, or like waste a flash, basic stuff like that. Wasting a flash to leap or something, stuff like that, and missing the stun. Like I E before I jump, then
Okay.
I'm trying to leap onto them. Don't get it off in time, but since I expected myself to leap, I've already repressed E to stun and end up like just wasting it basically. And
Okay.
not smiting before I fight. That's a big one.
So one thing you want to do at level 1 is you want to make sure that your team, well, everyone on the team should be looking out for invades, but you want to make sure that you're doing it as well. So when you're standing right here,
above.
you're not really doing anything. You want to stand up here so you can see if they're coming in here. If you're standing up here, this would have never happened to you, where you guys are going to get invaded on.
Alright. And should I wait on the level since there's always a chance of invade? Should I just not level anything until...
Yeah.
Right.
So right here, this is really bad too. So you see that they invade you guys here, and what you should do is, when you're getting invaded like this, just run away, because you're not exactly sure like how many people are around here. If the enemy is making like an aggressive play like this, in most cases, they're doing it because they're gonna have the advantage, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just really stupid, especially like when you get to higher and higher ranks. Your enemy like engaging stupid things is like no longer happens. When you're going in here, you should just be running away.
Alright.
And now your jungle path is gonna get all messed up. And luckily here, they overextended, but for some reason Pike never came in with them, so that was just a stupid mistake they made. Okay, so let's talk about your jungle pathing real fast. So do you tend to always go with like the same route, or do you sort of change based on the game?
I have changed it recently, but generally speaking, I always go, as of recently, I go whatever bot lane is to the other jungle. What I used to do is I'll go to whatever bot lane is, clear out everything there. I usually go red, if I'm at red. If I'm on this side, I'll go red, Krugs, Raptors. If I'm on the other side, I'll go blue, Gromp, Wolves.
Okay.
And if I'll look at bot. If there's not a gank there, then I'll go to the other jungle and clear there. So you're usually back.
You mean other jungle like up here, or do you mean you'd go red?
On my jungle.
Okay,
I'll go to
jungle.
my blue.
Okay. Alright, yeah, so those are both pretty decent paths actually.
I generally speaking like to go with whatever bot is, because the leash is a lot better.
Yeah. So it looks like you canceled your E earlier there. You want to make sure when you're fighting the camps, you let your E run for as long as possible so you block more attacks. Let me rewind it real fast. Okay, yeah, so J4 was here for the invade, so you want to make sure at level 1, when you're doing your buff, you look down here and up top to see if they leash the jungler. So like, you know the top lane's here, and you saw J4 over here, so you know he started blue buff. So you want to keep that in mind for like your pathing.
Oh, if I know he went blue, then I can maybe instead, since I would have ran away there, do my blue then go to his red.
That wouldn't really work. That's a little too slow
No.
because most people are gonna do, if they're starting this side, the most common path is to do blue wolves and then red. So if you're doing red, you're camping this, you get here a little later than he does.
Right. All right. This may have not been a game where I did it. I think I may have gone bot. No, I didn't in the end. I went to gank mid. Oh, this game I was having a lot of trouble against the Pike because I haven't played against him before, and he kept stunning me like that because I kept walking into it.
Okay, yeah, so...
And he was really hard to gank because I couldn't get the stun off in time.
Yeah, first of all, this isn't a really good spot to gank because, like, the Pike has the dash to get away, right? And Anivia doesn't have great gank follow-up. And Jax himself isn't exactly a very strong early level ganker, so you really only want to gank lanes that are able to follow up decently well or they don't have escapes. Like bot lane you can gank because these guys have no escapes and Morgana is really good to gank for because she snares them for a long time. And top is sort of decent to gank because Darius has absolutely no mobility, so he's pushing over here. It's really easy. But yeah, you have to get pretty lucky mid.
I used to play Darius a bit, and I've started playing Camille mid, and I've noticed that she's very, very, very good to gank for due to her stun.
Yeah. So one thing when you gank is you never want to use your mobility spells early. So when you're ganking this guy, Pike is going to start walking back to his turret, obviously, right?
Yep.
So you want to just sort of walk at an angle that you're going to cut him off, and when you get close to him, just use your E. Because
so don't engage with my Q.
Yeah, exactly, because if you engage with your Q now, like, you don't need Q to catch him unless he starts walking up here. Most times you're going to walk back here, and you can easily just run there because of how the angle works.
I actually never thought of that.
So you want to always save your mobility spells for after they use theirs. So, like, you catch up to him, and then he's going to E away so he doesn't get stunned, and then you can Q after him. In that case, you probably... like be underneath his turret, so it's not very great because you're super low.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you use a spell like that, they're gonna just immediately use their dash, and he could have ignited and autoed you once and killed you.
I backed here, I think. Unless I didn't.
Also, when you're doing this clear, I'm pretty sure you want to smite at least one camp because you're super low.
I smiked Krugs, I believe.
Did you? Okay, oh, it looks like you did actually.
I generally speaking smite Big Krug because it deals a lot of damage. I think I die here.
Yeah, so this was really good. You should have just recalled after here because you were too low, and the enemy jungler saw that you were low, so he knows to invade.
Alright.
Yeah, this mid gank was just really risky because you were way too low, and Anivia doesn't have as great follow-up.
Should I have just backed after clearing red, or should I have went to just immediately to blue?
What would I do in this game? In this game, I'd probably just... In this game, yeah, I'd clear red. I'd clear wolves, and then I'd clear blue. And then I'd walk down here and put a ward down and see if J4 is coming, and if J4 isn't coming, I'll take this scuttle. And you can clear Gromp and then recall. You don't really want to be making these super...
high-risk plays.
Not really high risk, but like a super gank heavy playstyle with Jax because he's a farm based jungler.
I always figured he was the opposite. Well, that's good to know. I'll make sure to farm more because he scales with items well because he's a attack speed champion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So what you're doing here is very big mistake. So what's the point of walking this way? What's your sort of plan right now?
I thought red was not red, but Raptors and Krugs was about to come back up.
Yeah, these won't be up for at least a little bit. When you're coming on the base, you'd want to come up here too.
Oh no, I was going to go gank bot because bot's getting pushed heavy on tower.
Yeah,
that's most likely what was happening.
So ganking bot is like maybe it's going to be good. First of all, you have to understand that the circumstances of the lane are going to change in like the 30 seconds it takes for you to walk. So even though they're under turret right now, the lane, it could be in the middle of the lane by the time you get here, depending on what happens.
So really, all I'm doing here is like wasting time,
Yeah.
basically.
And secondly, you're not gonna have any camps up to take after this because these are still respawning. You'll have the scuttle, but that's it. I think J4 is probably taking these as well, so you're in a really bad spot after the counter jungle. So yeah, actually, I guess going bot is pretty good because he took these camps here. But I don't think he realized that.
Probably not, no.
But you can look at his CS and see that he's taken these because each camp gives 4 CS. And he's taken 1, 2, 3. So he should have 12 like you do because he did the same 12 as you. And he took this, 16. And this makes 20, and then this is 24. So these are all gone. How do you turn off Fog of War? Okay, what did he take? Is it glitched? 1, 2, 3 is 12.
He took his red and my blue, so that'd only be 20.
Okay, he took the scuttle too.
Oh.
But he should be taking this scuttle as well. But what this guy should have done is he should have taken this. And you should have tried to, yeah, the best play is to go top. Because your camps are here, he's either taking these and then taking scuttle, or he's not going to take them. Like, most players are going to try to take these, so you want to run up here and see if you can save one of them, because you respawn really fast early game. So you can probably walk back up here before he has enough time to take both of these, which is better than going bot where you're going to have no camps and just the scuttle. Because if you run top, you're going to at least get this one scuttle, and then if you get this one, maybe one camp, and then you can go down to this, because he's going to have to recall if he tries to take these camps. Basically, when you're coming out of base, you always want to walk towards the direction of either Gromp or Krug, depending on which one's alive. And in this case, you know your Krugs aren't alive, so you go towards Gromp. Yeah, now you're going to be wasting a bunch of time here, because you got no camps, you just have the one scuttle. And meanwhile, if you want top, you have this Gromp, Wolves, and by the time you clear both of those, these camps are probably going to be respawning, so you can do Raptors, Scuttle, and then Krugs, and then just recall, and you have a full clear, and you have a bunch of gold, and you're being really efficient.
And at the beginning, what I should definitely be doing is just farming way more, basically.
Yeah, so now you're sort of forced to go for a gank, because you're still waiting on Raptors to respawn. Okay, so this is sort of a random invade, because you don't really know where he is. When you're invading, you want to... Wait, do you guys have vision up? Oh, I didn't turn off the Fog of War, okay. So yeah, you don't know he's here, so your invade can only be an invade to get vision. Because you don't want to start doing this, like he's here, but he could be anywhere else. Because you have really no clue where he is. So you just ward for vision now. You can't start doing the camp, because he could come down and start fighting you, and you really don't want to be fighting people when you're doing a camp, because you're going to be lower. So right here, you should just ward here. And then you see he's doing a camp, and that gives you some info. But like now this guy's roaming over. And you need to like run away. And you might die here, you're probably gonna die. Okay, he missed that and he's stunned the wrong way, so you got extremely lucky if you managed to live.
That's the one thing about bronze, my mistakes aren't punished as bad.
One thing you do is, you can use your Q to jump to allies and minions, so you should be jumping to Anivia here, so you can get away easier.
I always forget about the allies part. I do remember the wards and minions, but I always forget that you can jump to allied champions.
So now you're probably low and you want to just recall because you're in a really bad spot. The most efficient way to clear is to clear the whole jungle at the same time, essentially. And because you don't want to walk, so like the only thing you can do here is kill Krugs and then go back, because you have no other options, because you don't want to walk all the way up here. You want to go back and then start at the top and then work your way down where you're clearing like all your camps.
Alright.
You want all your camps to be dead at the same time, because the camps have like a weird way of working with XP. The minions, or the monsters,
they level up based off your level, everyone's average level in the game, right?
But they stay like the same level. So this Gromp has never died. It's a level 1 Gromp, which means it's going to give you very little gold and very little XP. So you want to have all your camps dead at the same time, and then respawn at the same time, so they're the maximum level they can be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then you want to kill them as fast as possible so you can reset them as fast as possible.
Yeah, you want to kill all your camps at the same time and then use the time between the respawns to gank. And then
because there's not much else to do. Alright.
So like now you're wasting a lot of time walking down here, and you're gonna be just forced to recall afterwards. You won't really have enough health to continue to clear. I guess you can clear towards raptors maybe. I didn't know that raptors were respawning right now.
Is there anything wrong with my actual like clears themselves, like the actual fighting the minions themselves? Is there anything I could change about that? That would maybe like
so.
mention. Besides like kiting them towards the other camps.
You can kite a bit, but it doesn't really matter with jacks. So right here is a big misplay. You always want to clear in the directions of your camps, or you want to walk in the direction of your camps. Right now you're walking, I don't know where you're going. This person is going back or something, so there's no gank here. You have really no idea where J4 is. And you're walking into this river with no scuttle, and there's no gank potential bot. Because it's underneath the turret, you're gonna have to dive, which is way too risky, because it's not low enough. So there's absolutely like zero things you can gain here, except for a counter gank bot. And you're not really in position to counter gank bot. If you're at Krugs, then you can move to counter gank. And you have like a reasonable suspicion that he's coming.
Alright.
But right now, like, what do you gain here?
I think I walked forward, recalled, and then I don't remember what I did.
So you want to just keep clearing up towards these wolves and Gromp, and then get a full reset, because all your camps will be dead then. And you can use the time where you have no camps to kill, and you can go back and buy with like 1,000 gold.
So one of my main issues at the moment is just not clearing enough. I'm just not farming enough. I'm trying to gain
sort of like, you always want to be playing with some objective in mind. So now you're going bot, but you're probably going to hear super late.
I think I stole a kill here. Yep.
Okay, here's a... When you gank a lane as the jungle, you have to understand wave control as well. So whenever you gank a lane, you're gonna help them put the lane in the best spot for them. So what's happening to these minions here? Do you know if it's which way it's pushing?
It's pushing towards them because we have a wave built up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, exactly. So you have more minions than they do, so it's gonna push into them.
So I should have helped them clear so it push on the tower?
Yeah, exactly. Because
should I have helped push tower too and deal damage and split the gold, or?
So taking plates takes a lot of time, and as a jungler you want to be very efficient with your time because you have to help all the lanes at once, right? Yeah. So it's not very good to take plates, especially right now.
Especially since I'm only going to be getting like 80 gold off it, average.
You can walk in a turret and threaten to dive her because she's super low if she stays, but she'll go back and then you just reset as well.
Alright. And was there ever a situation where I turret dive her here?
Yeah, if she stays you can dive, but she's going to go back when you start pushing in if she's smart. Otherwise you dive her.
Alright. So if she stayed where she was recalling as I pushed up, I could have dived her.
Yeah.
Alright.
So when you're in a lane, okay, if your laner's there and needs to go back, you need to push the wave in with him. Basically, you want the wave to be pushing in towards your own team whenever people are going back. Because if it's, like, see, it's pushing into them right now, what's going to happen is these minions are going to kill these enemy minions. And no one's going to be around to get the gold or the XP, so it's XP and gold wasted. Right. So what you need to do is push it into the turret, because when it pushes into the enemy turret, the wave will always push back towards you. And when the wave's pushing towards you, say it's pushing towards you right now, it means the enemy minions are killing your allied minions. Which means if the opponents aren't there, yeah. So yeah, like these minions are going to stay alive when they're fighting the enemy minions. So yeah, you want to clear this and then you can dive her if she stays in a turret. What are you building first on Jax anyway?
Usually whatever challenging smite is, I believe. And then, oh, I don't know. I'd have to check Blitz because I just follow basically what it says, unless there's something I'm specifically building against, like a lot of AP damage or a lot of AD.
So this was another time where these Raptors and Krugs aren't up yet. They might respawn by the time you kill Red, but I don't think you're timing them that accurately. So you want to go up here, check if you can get the scuttle, clear this, clear this. For sure, raptors are going to be up by then. You can clear that, clear red buff, kill Krugs. And then from there, you can either gank bot or you can recall with a bunch of gold. Or you can like walk into the jungle and get wards even. But right now, you might not have anything to do after red, see? So you're walking past like this dead camp here. When it's
So I should have done the same thing I did here, but go from top down instead of red up.
Exactly. Because you're going to be on top side when these camps respawn like they're doing right now. So again, you're sort of invading for no reason here. If you're invading, you should invade when your camps on the side are dead.
Alright.
All you can do is get vision here, especially. You do not take this camp because you don't know where J4 is, and this guy can come and kill you.
And one thing I do keep forgetting, even though I know to do it, is to leave one minion at the camp so it doesn't reset.
Oh yeah.
I know to do that, but it doesn't cross my mind when I'm actually playing.
I want to make sure you're watching the lanes and looking at your opponent's HP, because up here this is a really good dive that you can have up here if he doesn't die. Okay, so yeah. Now Pyke is roaming up here. See?
I believe I tried to steal red. I think I failed though.
So there has to be a reason for you to want to go into the enemy jungler, not just sort of random like that was.
Alright.
You should go in if you see him on the other side of the map, and then you can counter jungle him because you know there's no way he could be up here.
So I only invade when I know for a fact he's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I know for a fact he is there and he's alone. Would that work?
Sure, if you could kill him, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, so you went mid instead of going bot to your Krugs here, and now you're going to see you're going to have a really rough path again. Because you have this Gromp up that you want to get to, and you have this Krug up that you're going to get to, and they're opposite directions from each other, so you're going to be wasting like 15 seconds walking.
Walked into it.
Yeah, again, you're spending a lot of time ganking ganks that aren't going to work. So yeah, after this Krug, because you cleared, starting from Raptors, you have nothing to do really. So you see that J4 is like 20 CS up on you, and he's also been ganking more than you because he's probably been clearing a lot better than you have.
Hmm. I believe I go enchantment warrior, I think. Not possible.
Yeah, you went to Blood Razor.
Blood Razor, that's it, for attack speed.
Again, this was a really weird time to gank top because this guy went back. Like, yeah, this guy for sure went back. You could kind of tell that. So this would be a time where you can invade because you see him bot, and then you could go up to his jungle and look for his Krugs and Raptors from him.
Alright.
That's like a very standard jungle play, is if you see him on the opposite side from you, go into his jungle.
Alright.
And again, you're sort of walking around, there's nothing mid. It's getting pushed in and you don't even know where Pyke is, so just clear your jungle or his jungle.
I think I took, yep.
The Rift Trail is a pretty good call, I think. So you use the E a little inefficiently, you want to wait till after he charges. Yeah, you want to be a little better at popping the eye too, because if you pop it earlier, it'll come back earlier. But you don't have to wait for him to do that, like attack to pop the eye. You can just walk behind him and you can get it fast.
Alright.
Okay, that was... Okay, yeah. That wasn't a real good time to use Rift Herald since theirs was there to protect the turret. You usually want to use Rift Herald after... Wow. After you kill someone, or you like, they've gone back. You don't want to use Rift Herald while they're protecting the turret, because they're going to easily kill it. Let's see how you fight here. Okay, one thing you want to do is you want to decide whether you're going to help the team or not. Because right now you're walking back and forth like you're going to run, like you're going to help them. And then that's really bad. You need to commit to one decision. Don't be indecisive about things. Right now you know you don't have enough mana, so just ping them and just walk away. Because you're not going to do anything if you stay.
Alright.
And that's going to prevent your team from them at least getting a triple kill, and your team might have backed off if they saw you back off and you're telling them to.
And like I said, in this game, we got very, very, very hard carried by the Mordekaiser. He ended up doing very well towards the end and did like triple my damage or something insane.
So you want to clear the Krugs, because now you're going to not have the Krugs to do, or you're going to be walking back and forth. You see how it's better to walk down here,
yeah,
go
so
up here, go up
less
here,
time.
instead of going here, up here, and then walking
because
back
it's
past
one
the red
motion.
buff. Yeah,
it's one motion. And how big is my power spike on level 6 with Jax? Like, is getting my ult like a really strong thing for me? Because I know my ult itself is just armor. It doesn't have a super immediate impact. But the passive is really strong.
it's really bad invaded. Again, because it's kind of random. You don't know where he is. And especially, your bot lane is not here. Which means if you get spotted out, they're coming up, and you're not getting any help from anyone.
Alright.
So if this was even like, usually the river will be warded in like higher elo games, so they'll see you come across like that. Okay, so yeah, here's another spot where you wasted your Q. So you would have got the kill here if you didn't Q her. Okay, so far this was perfect. And right here, don't use your E, just sort of stand here. Because her only hope is to walk up here, which means she's going to be walking towards Anivia. You want to just walk like right here, and just try to run into her. Because right now, there's no way you're never going to catch up to her, right?
I see.
Just because of where you're standing.
What seems to be my biggest issue is using Q as an engage. It's more of a catch tool instead of an engage.
So you don't use your mobility spells if you can catch them without it. That's the rule. Like right now, you don't need to use the leap to catch up to her. But now that you have used the leap, she's free to just flash away. And there was another spot where you leaped a little early and you could have just kept walking at her. And she nearly got away because of that.
So I would use it like that, but always, basically. How I did there when I caught up to her.
So yeah, that was a good, yeah. Because you weren't going to catch her if you didn't leap, so yeah.
My issue here was I used it for the damage.
Yeah. You only use it for the damage if it's like life and death. So like right now you're right beside her, so you don't need to leap on her. You can just keep walking up and keep autoing her until she gets a little bit further.
And should I have smited the Ashe before engaging her as well? Since I'm using challenging?
Sure, probably. That's not really that big though, because you don't really need it to kill her.
Alright.
Like you could easily face her 1v1.
I'm building Trinity right now.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, this time you walked out the right way. So when you want to come hold top here, you want to make sure that your team, like minions, are a valuable source of golden XP. And unlike camps and turrets, the minions sort of like can be wasted. Like if minions die underneath the turret, that's potential golden XP that have gone to waste. Like if you take, you'd rather get these minions under the turret than get the camps, because you can get the minions and then the camps after. If you get the camps, then the minions go to waste. The camps don't really get wasted in that sort of same faction.
So something I know I've done more than once is just kind of basically defending turret for my teammates. Kind of like if they're pushed on the turret, I kind of just threaten them off of attacking it.
That's what you want to do. You want to come here, and this is called holding the lane. You're gonna soak up all this minion XP, and you're gonna prevent him from getting turret damage. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, see, this guy is 2 levels up on you because you've been wasting a lot of time where you have been not doing anything with your time.
Yeah, he's 40 CS up on me.
Okay, so look at what happened here. This is like one of the worst things you can do as a jungler. You cleared blue buff, and then you walked all the way to bot lane, and you didn't do a single thing. Which is really bad. Jungler, you have to be efficient. That's the #1 thing. So you want to do blue buff, hold the lane, and then farm your camps down. And you'd arrive here 30 seconds later, and you'd be like a level and a half higher with a lot more gold.
Alright. Did I just ignore that? Is there a ward there that I just ignored?
Yeah.
That was very smart. I messed up the smite, but still took it.
Okay, so this is another thing that you don't want to do. You don't need to go for steals on Dragon. First of all, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to steal Dragon most of the time. Dragon is not really an important objective, especially like in lower ranks. Because in like you see in competitive games, Dragon's really contested, and that's because you can't really gain other advantages in competitive games. Like there's not a bunch of kills going on. In lower elo, there's a bunch of kills, there's a bunch of CS deficits. There's much better ways to gain advantages than through Dragon.
Would this hold true for Infernal as well?
Yeah, even Infernal. Because here, if you're stealing this Dragon, you're guaranteed dying for it. Because there's no way to get out when you jump in here. So you're killing yourself just for the chance of stealing a Dragon from someone. Which is generally not worth it. If you do steal a Dragon, then like maybe it's worth it, but again, it's not even guaranteed. But most of the time
you're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
Especially when you play it poorly like I did. When I played Nunu, which I don't really anymore, I focus super hard on the objectives because it's such an easy champ to like take drags with. Like I would regularly get like 4 drags on for our team. Was that even worth it? Should I have just CS'd or?
It's alright to get like the Dragon like that, but the Dragon is generally like a reward for stuff. So you get Dragon as a reward for ganking bots successfully, and since they're dead, you have the time to rotate to Dragon.
I see.
Or the enemy jungler shows top, so you take the time to get Dragon because that's like your reward for him showing up there. Is you get to do this. Right, Dragon so isn't a thing that like you just do, yeah, like a camp.
All right.
Yeah, you should probably look at some either YouTubers, streamers, or just like replays of high elo junglers and watch when they go for a gank and how they clear their camps and like the paths that they take. Because the paths will differ a lot depending on what they want to do, depending on which lanes they're planning to gank, depending on whether they want to counter jungle or not. And when you watch their games, like if you're watching one that doesn't have commentary or something like that, just pause the game when they're doing a camp and then just think about what you would do in the situation, which camp you would go to next. And if they did something different to you, you figure out like what they did, because what they did is probably going to be better than what you had in mind most of the time.
Alright.
I guess I'll take a look at how your mechanics were in that fight.
obvious dash to engage at the start that I shouldn't have done.
This jump it's alright, because it got you there a little quicker. One thing you want to do is, you want to move between your auto attacks. That's called orb walking. It's important even on melee champions. So when you Q onto Karma, which way is she going to run to try to escape?
Up.
Yeah, she's going to run towards her turret. So you want to follow her so that you can keep attacking her. So when you're here, just after you attack once, click up towards like here. So that you're standing over here. And then you auto attack her again and you basically follow her up the lane. And that way, she's not going to be able to just outrun you. You'll see it probably happens here with someone else. Yeah, so right here you want to stand sort of like over here because that's the way he's going to run. And if he tries to run from you, it means you're going to have an easier time catching him.
Alright.
So yeah, these guys made a mistake where they didn't go for the turret after they won a fight. So right now, you always want to be sort of making plays with your team. So your team's pushing in bot here, so after you clear this, there's no other camps for you to clear. And your team's sort of doing something here, yeah. So work with them. Because right now, you're sort of not really doing anything when you walk up to the river like this. Okay, yeah, you started going bot, but yeah, it's a little bit later and you could have got here earlier. So yeah, that was... You did good and reacted to what was happening, but you should have been planning about what you're going to do before. You always want to be thinking... Like you've heard like the expression where like you're thinking 5 steps ahead or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you want to do in League. You never want to really be planning out what you're currently doing. You want to be thinking about what you're going to do in the future, what's going to happen.
Alright.
Yeah, have you ever seen those plays where, like let's say there's a Riven, right? And Riven is like about to ult someone who's right next to her, and then they flash like over top of her ulti so that it misses? Yeah. Have you seen something like that?
Yeah, like on like the montage
clips
and stuff like that, where like they'll throw a barrel where they think someone's gonna flash, stuff like that.
Yeah, so that stuff isn't things that like the players just think about in the moment. They know that in the fight, like they're just thinking about, as soon as I think Riven's gonna ult, I need to flash. It's not like as it registers immediately in their head. As soon as they go in a fight, they know what they're gonna do. So you wanna try to think like that, know what you're gonna do in the fight beforehand. Like know when you wanna jump, know when you're gonna use your E, when you wanna use your ulti.
I was very scared here.
Okay, so Triforce is the first real big power spike for Jax.
Because it buffs everything he has, basically.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's still the most optimal build, but before, I'd have to look it up. Like the old build for Jax jungle was you'd get the Skirmisher's Saber, and you wouldn't finish like Blood Rays or anything, you just immediately build Triforce because you wanted to get it as early as possible. I have to look up if that's still what people do. But yeah, okay, yeah, this was another thing where you're not really having a plan in mind. So you're walking mid, and really the only thing that you can do mid is push out this wave that's about to be coming in. But this is like really deep into their territory and none of your teammates are around, so it's super dangerous. So you want to just clear the jungle and make your way top to help them.
Alright.
Because yeah, this is another instance where you're just wasting time and you have to flash away.
Was building Merc Tregs here the correct play, or should I build Tabi?
I'd probably build ninja tabbies. I think it's better. They really only have like a couple forms of CC they're going to use.
Well, my biggest issue was the Pike, who was carrying them at the time with 11 and 2, so I figured he's the biggest issue. I'll build Merc Tregs to try and counter the slow from the Spike.
Yeah, if Pike stuns you, you're probably going to die no matter what. Reducing the duration isn't really going to make a difference.
Alright.
I am your darkness. I am your truth. Red team double kill. Never falter.
I knew we weren't going to be able to make it out. I thought we weren't going to be able to get it out, so I tried to push.
Okay, you could have for sure made out here. You forgot that you could jump to your champions again, because you could have just jumped to Mordekaiser and got away.
Yep.
Like here was another instance where you were sort of indecisive as well. You died because you kept walking back towards them. Okay, I freaking fast forwarded too far. Okay, you kill Pike here, and after you kill Pike, are you able to win this fight?
No.
No. So you're not going to fight this, so just run away. Because you start walking towards Darius here when it's 3 versus 2, and then you're home free now, and you start turning around again. You keep facing her for some reason instead of just running away. Always be committed to what you're going to do. Don't be sort of waiting around just hoping that something good is going to show up.
So it's better to commit to a slightly less optimal, like a worse play than be indecisive between two most of the time.
Yeah.
Alright.
No matter what, being indecisive is always going to be wrong. There's never a situation where it's the best play. So it's much better to make, like, any play you do is going to be better than that, even if it's still bad.
Alright. Well, I know for a fact I'm like that a lot, so I'll try and just commit to one thing or not.
Okay, that was pretty decently played there.
Reveal what is hidden. Focus.
Okay, you played that team fight pretty well.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Okay, so basically you guys were up here and Darius was pushing bot. You guys have to decide whether you're going to send someone back to get Darius or not. If you choose not to send someone back to Darius, you have to fight and then push, because the 4 or 5 of you are going to push faster than Darius will by himself.
Yeah.
But what you don't do is you don't fight and then recall after, because you've given him this turret for free now. So after you get this kill here, you guys should pressure the turret and just try to dive these guys, because it's 3 versus 5. Well, it's 3 versus 4 because Mort died, but like right now, I don't know why you're going by. You have no health, so you're just going to get one shot by him.
I think I realized that a bit too late. That's why I moved where I was going.
So you need to reset when you're low, because you lose a lot of pressure when you stay with low health. Because now these guys are going to get pressure mid, someone's got to clear these minions, and you guys are wasting time chasing him. Minions are a lot better than going for kills. Always try to pressure people with minions. Now all you guys are down here, you're super low. They get this turret for free now. During the late game, you want to be farming during like the downtime where you don't do anything. So let's say
Like
your team's
right now.
yeah, well not right now. Your team's pushing right now. So you'd farm. Okay, so let's say that you're sieging them underneath the turret, right?
Yeah.
In between waves, you could sort of walk to raptors and take raptors. That's a good time to farm, like when there's a little bit of a lull in the siege. Another good time to farm would be if your whole team has recalled and you don't need to recall, then you can farm. And right now you could like take one camp as they're clearing the minions and then meet them by the time that it's getting near the turret.
Alright.
So like yeah, as they're clearing that you could have taken raptors and come up here. But it's been a long time since you've backed. And you're gonna have a lot of gold. So yeah, you have 1100 gold. And you want to have all your gold spent like when you're fighting, otherwise you might as well not have that gold if it's not in items. But yeah, here's a bad time. You're walking away from your team when it's obvious your team is trying to make a play, so you need to be there to support them. Always be working with your team. Yeah, they didn't need you there, and okay, you got caught over here. So make sure you're playing around your team and not playing by yourself. Because there's... I guess you're going for the Gromp, but there's really no reason to do that, especially when you don't know where they are.
Darkness. I am your truth. Something new.
When you're playing the game, always be thinking about what your team is currently trying to do, what the enemy's trying to do, and then base what you're going to do off of those two factors. So in that case, your team was chasing them down, and you had no idea what the enemy team was doing, so you should just default to helping your team do this.
What did I miss? I think I might have sold refillable potion or something.
Yeah, that's right. This is generally the time where you'd sell it.
Waste of a flash.
Yes, you had the right general idea with this fight, but there's a few mechanical errors you made. So, the two biggest things with Jax are, ability-wise, is knowing when to use your E and knowing when to use your Q, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your darkness. I am your truth. Let me show you what it is to fall.
Okay, so you see that Pike gets stunned here and he's sort of picked out with that, so this is a good time for you to jump on him.
I also used my ult here.
Sort of, not the most optimal ult usage, but that doesn't really matter. What matters more is how you use your E and your Q. So the Q is good. This has been pretty good so far. But now that you're on him, you're the front line of your team right now because everyone's behind you. So you need to activate your E because you know that they're going to start autoing you because they have no one else to kill. You want to use your E right now. Whenever you're going to be attacked by the enemy champions is when you should use your E. And you know you're going to get attacked when you're the closest champion to them, proximity-wise. So you know they're going to start attacking you now, so you need to use your E so that you can dodge it. And then try to get a stun off on one of them. So right now you want to use your E. And you're going to get stunned, and these four are going to start attacking you. So if you have your E up right now, you don't take a lot of damage. And you have your Q up now, so you want to Q onto Ashe and stun her, because Ashe is the second highest priority target. The first one's Pike, who's dead, and then it's Ashe.
Because she's an ADC, so she's more fragile, so I can kill her quick.
Well, she also does the most damage.
Yeah.
As Jax, you're what's called a diver, which means you're diving onto the enemy carries in most team fights.
Alright.
So as Jax, your plan isn't really to peel, it's to look for an opportunity where you can jump on the carry of the enemy team and kill them, because Jax is strong at just fighting people one-on-one. He beats pretty much anyone. So you did the good thing where you jumped on Pike there, because Pike was a person you needed to kill to win the fight. Now it's Ash, so you jump on Ash instead of fighting this guy.
I am your darkness.
Have you jumped on Ash and stunned her? Ezreal gets some easy damage on her, and you guys probably win the team fight. She would have got snared by Morg there too, because she would be stunned. So always understand your champion's role in the team fight. So with Jax is a diver, which means you look for an opportunity where you're going to be able to get a good jump onto the enemy's carry, stun them, and then start beating on them.
Alright.
What that means is that you generally just don't walk into them, because then you start getting CC'd and they start like running away. So what you did with Pyke earlier was good.
So should I be more of a backline until we initiate? Should I not initiate the fight?
Exactly, unless like there's a area where they're all grouped up and you can get like a 5-man stun or something like that.
Don't initiate?
Yeah.
I let my tank in. Like, I should have let... we shouldn't have fought that, probably, because we had several people that were low.
You did decent. Like, you definitely should have went in on Pyke here. Because this was a free kill. So from this point, you have the choice of either diving onto Ashe or running away. If you had just gone on Ashe immediately here, you probably would have won the fight.
Alright. And how important is canceling my E for the stun versus getting the dodge damage in during this kind of fight?
You use it for the stun pretty much entirely, and you don't really stun the tank with it. Like, keep it up until you can jump and then immediately stun the carry. Like you're doing with this, you just jump and as soon as you land, cancel your E, and she gets stunned.
And this is kind of a side question. When I'm playing top as Jax, I generally speaking build Tiamat for more farming first. So should I just really hard focus on farming in the early game, even as top, until I get like the Trinity or something? Then I can start trying to poke or deal damage in my lane.
That's not really sort of the mindset. Like, basically, you have opportunities where you're gonna be able to get favorable trades on your opponent.
That is what I usually try and go in if I think I can either kill or do a lot of damage to him, because I can at least run away with my stun. Worst case scenario.
You want to essentially try to learn where anytime you can make a fight with him where you come out taking less damage than he took, you do that. Because if you do that enough times, you're obviously going to force him back or kill him.
Alright.
The thing that makes Jax a more like farm-based champion is Jax simply has less opportunities where he's going to be able to do that compared to other champions. So a champion like Gangplank, he can easily just Q the enemy champion like pretty much any time he wants. So he's going to be poking a lot with his Q during lane. While Jax, he loses a lot to enemy champions, so it has to be pretty favorable conditions for him to trade.
Like,
but you're still going to be trading at those times.
Generally speaking, I ban Darius as Jax top because I feel like he shuts me down very easily.
Not sure on the specifics of the matchup, but Darius is sort of a champion who is very strong in lane.
Because he's a lane bully, yeah.
And the Jax matchup I think is pretty good for Jax actually, because you have to play it well first of all. Like Darius can't exactly pull you in, because if he pulls you in, you just E, and suddenly his kit is entirely gone, because he can't W, he can't auto attack.
Right, because my issue is engaging with my Q. That probably leads to me thinking that.
In the matchup with Jax, you just sort of wait to get pulled in. If you get pulled in, you can E him, and whenever he uses... Okay, basically Darius's Q, the mechanic is there's the inside ring and then the outside ring.
I played him. He's the character I played the most when I first started playing.
So when you're a champion like Jax, you can save your Q until he uses his Q, and then just use it on top of him, and that guarantees no matter what, he can never hit you with the outer ring of his Q, because you'll be right on top of him.
Alright.
So basically Jax, your Q negates his Q, and your E will negate his autos plus his W, which is like his whole sort of kit.
Yeah, basically the same as mine, kind of, but it has a slow as well. Empowerment. kind of.
And then after that, you can just stun him and then walk away while he's stunned.
So I basically need to let him engage, poke him a bit, and then don't let the fight be prolonged because of the hemorrhage stacks. All right.
So here's another time where you're kind of running at them taking poke when your team's not going to be here to follow up. So you're sort of kind of just bluffing there for no reason. So now this is the time that I was talking about where you can farm the jungle or you can just go back and get your health back. Because your team is going to slowly start pushing this, which means you have a little bit of time to do whatever you want. And you guys pinged the dragon, which that was a decent thing to go for, I guess, because you didn't know if they're doing it or not. But this, again, you're not really seeing what your team's doing here. Mord's not here yet, and Anivia is nowhere close. So this is not going to be a favorable fight for you guys. Yeah, as I predicted, you guys lost.
Yeah.
So always be, as long as you just count, it's going to be a lot easier. If you have more champions than the enemy team has nearby, it's going to be a lot higher that you're going to win. A lot more likely. If they have more, then it's going to be more likely they're going to win. Don't fight fights where you have less people than they do. Fight fights when you have more.
Don't engage fights that are disadvantageous in any way, even if it's like a
exactly.
60-40 basically.
That's probably the #1 issue people make up until probably even platinum. It happens a lot in gold where they'll fight a 4v5 for some reason. They'll engage one. You simply pay attention to where the members of, you always know where your teammates are, and then just try to like logically deduce where the enemy is. So you see J4's down here. Now you know that you can't see him on the map, but you still know that he's in this area somewhere. So if there's people up here, you can fight them, even though you technically don't exactly know where J4 is. You know that he's down here.
So would that be, since we know he's down there? No, you should only really do Baron. Baron's kind of a reward as well, right? Like you only do it if you have like an ace or something.
You do it if you have an ace, or if you're just so far ahead that even if they stopped you, you just turn and you just fight them and kill them. That's what Baron's used for. So this is another time where you guys are engaged in a fight where Anivia is nowhere close and you're going to lose this one.
Oh, I got pulled there.
Well, let's take a look at how you played it mechanics-wise.
Let me show you what it is to fall.
Wasn't able to cancel it because I should have started it earlier, so I could cancel it right when I land.
So as soon as you do this and you realize, like, I'm not going to be able to stun someone, you need to back off and wait for your spells to come back up, because you're just going to get kited if you're just walking at them. The perfect fight as Jax is, like, your front line meets with theirs, and you can sort of sneak into their back line when the back line has no protection.
Alright.
But there they had the protection because Darius was coming, and then you didn't really have your stun or anything like that. Say again, you guys engaged 4v5 and you've ended up losing.
J4 has about double my CS.
Yeah, you saw there that you can kind of just stun him and then walk away.
Morgana went for a risky thing there.
Okay, so that was pretty good there, but you want to try to cancel the stun a little bit earlier if you can, so that they don't flash away.
Alright. That's something I've been trying to like start it earlier and then dive them right when it ends. But I'm inconsistent with it at the moment. Like I said, I'll end up diving too late, and I've already just kind of like muscle memory canceled it right when I should have been on them. It ends up fucking.
This was a good Baron call here, but you wanted to make sure you waited a bit so that Mordekaiser could get there before you started it. You
So
took a lot
as
of
much damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just straight recall. I think we end up winning off that Baron, or very close.
Yeah, it's another time where like getting dragon is really that big of a deal.
And I usually only build GA when it's a game where I'm doing well. Like if I have a high KDA, I build GA. If not, then I end up building Sterix first.
Yeah. It's pretty much better to always build stacks first, I think. I don't think GA is particularly strong on Jax. So you played this team fight. The start was alright, and then...
I did the same thing. I was indecisive, kept going back instead of...
But yeah, so this part was good because this guy is sort of picked out from the rest of his team. Like right now you're waiting for the backline to expose themselves still, so this is fine here. So you get stunned here, and this guy's gonna die. And then you get stunned. But right now Darius he's guaranteed dead, okay? So it's gonna be a 5v4.
I think he's ulted by Mord.
Yeah, he is. Can you see him when... I don't think you can see him actually. But you know that like...
Orbs.
You saw that he was like low
Yeah,
HP, so you know he's
dead.
gonna die. So you're gonna want to keep chasing these guys down instead of backing off. If you kept chasing up here with Mord, then it's a lot easier. But luckily enough, you guys were strong enough that you could do it anyway.
Yeah, we went off that. Like I said, Mord carried us pretty hard.
Yeah. So, quick recap here. At level 1, make sure you're standing like over here so that you can tell if you're getting invaded from this side.
Alright.
Plan out as you load into the game what lanes you're going to focus on ganking.
Based off champion selections?
Yeah.
Alright.
So, for example, going into this game, I'd say I have Morgana bot lane. The enemy bot lane doesn't have very mobile champions, so that's a lane that I like to gank. Ike, he's very hard to gank for. He's got his dash with the stun. He's got the invisibility, which makes him really fast. Probably not going to be ganking mid at all.
So one of my bigger issues right now is kind of knowledge of the game itself, because I've not played. I'm only like level 42 in total across the EUW and this account.
Yeah.
If that. This kind of general knowledge of the game.
And then also you want to know whether you're going to be playing a very gank heavy playstyle or a very farm heavy playstyle. So with Jax,
farm heavy.
Yeah, most of the time you're going to be farm heavy playstyle, unless you start like you get a few good early ganks where you're snowballing, then you can like play a lot more aggressive, but most of the time you're just farming because you're going to be weaker than the opponent generally.
And this is just kind of another side note. As Nunu, I played very, very gank heavy. Would that be the correct choice for that champion?
Nunu's sort of like a weird jungler because Nunu's sort of focus is like counter juggling, which is really weird because he doesn't have a fast clear speed overall, but he can clear one camp really fast. Yeah, and he's healthy. Yeah, Nunu, you're definitely a ganker, yeah.
You're a really heavy like support jungler, I guess, is the only way I've ever thought to describe it, because you can't kill them, but you can. When I play Nunu, I try and make sure my teammates get the kills rather than me.
Yeah. So with Nunu, you want to make sure you gank lanes where they have some damage to follow up. So like if you had Maokai top, you're probably not ganking Maokai because you simply can't kill the enemy.
because I have no damage myself.
Like the only way you're
I
gonna kill
just
them is
have
if they're very
CC.
far. You can't dive them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, basically
So my
you want to be
biggest
looking. Yeah. You
my
can go
biggest
on.
thing to work on is trying to attack between walking. But mainly I need to clear more efficiently and gank more efficiently.
Yeah, early game. That's what you should focus on in your next games. Make sure that you're not wasting any time when either always be farming or always be yanking or counter jungling. Don't be
And
doing sort of random things.
use my Q as a catch up,
Yeah.
not as a engage. That's something I'm gonna have to really drill into my head. Because that's just completely different than what I've always been doing, even if it is wrong.
So yeah, do that early game, and then in the late game, make sure you're always looking at where your teammates are, what they're trying to do, and see if you can help them in any way. Think about what the enemies are trying to do, and try to avoid falling for any traps they have. If you're engaging in any fight, make sure that it's either even or
Favor.
you have more champions than they do. Yeah.
How is my vision score this game? Because I know it's very poor, generally speaking. I doubt I bought a single control ward this game.
Yeah, I don't think you did either, but I think the other things are a little more important right now than
I
the wards.
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
However,
You don't
it is
really need to
something
worry
I've
about
been
wards
trying
right
to do
now.
more.
The jungler, yeah. Most junglers, you're going to be taking the red trinket on, and then these sort of low elo games are going to be very like hectic, so control words don't really matter as much as they will in higher elo.
Because people aren't as predictable because they're just kind of doing whatever.
Yeah.
I guess.
But if you're going to buy a control word early game, put it either in this bush or this bush up here.
All right.
And yeah, that's basically it.
Is it so? I know I've been trying out new champions just to kind of see what I enjoy. I basically feel very, very, very bad playing any ranged champions. They all feel very clunky and very like basically unusable to me. So I've been focusing on melee. Is that at all like a common feeling? Because I just can't. I can't wrap my head. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around. Is that like okay? Is that if I focus on melee champions mostly?
Yeah, it's fine. You really only need to play one champion in the game.
That's what unless you're like
actually a pro player.
Yeah, I've been trying to get good at one mainly, and then like a second one that I can pick if he's been picked or banned. Which is why I've been trying to play Camille so that I can go either top jungle or top jungle, jungle mid, or mid top or top mid, so I can play Camille at an okay level as well.
All you really need to know is the one champion, one role, unless you're playing a champion who is like really high pick and ban rate.
Is Jax? Because it seems like he is. I feel like he gets picks and banned in all of my games.
He's very popular in Iron, Bronze, and Silver, but you don't really see him as often in Diamond. He's like viable, but he's not 100% like he is in lower ranks.
So he's kind of like Master Yi, where he's stronger lower and weaker higher.
He's just less popular. He's still very strong in higher ranks. He's just not as popular. I don't exactly know why. I guess he's a very cheap champion. He doesn't require a lot of blue essence. And he's very
he's very spammy.
He's like a character who can 1v9, which the lower ranks like a lot.
And playing Camille, I've noticed that she's the opposite. I feel like I can't do any kind of 2v1ing as Camille. I'm obviously not great at her.
Yeah, Camille is very, very difficult 1v1 champion. Camille's a champion who you can carry with too, but she has a lot higher
it's very hard to hit her W for me.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't need a lot of practice to play Camille. She's one of the hardest champions in the game.
I have played Aurelia, wasn't good enough at her to play her, and didn't understand the mechanics enough, so I kind of dropped it. Obviously, one of the hardest champions to play in the game as well, so I just kind of let it go because I wasn't playing it well and I didn't enjoy it enough to play it.
Yeah, so
like good at it. So just focus on getting good at Jax, basically.
Yeah, Jax
for the moment, at least.
He's a really good pick for your skill level in jungle.
And my mechanics are at least good enough for my skill level. They're okay. They're not horrible.
Yeah,
they're not
amazing.
They're fine. Okay. except for the orb walking. I can practice that.
Yeah, most people aren't like, doing that at this rank either, so
Yeah.
unless they're playing ADC. If you wanted to play mid lane, everyone just recommends you play Annie because she's the simplest one.
That's one I've tried her, but the range thing, it just bothers me so much.
Most
I don't know.
mid champions are gonna be ranged, so you're gonna have a problem.
That's why I've tried Zed. He's enjoyable but very difficult. Camille, enjoyable, very difficult. So annoying. That's why I've only played it with friends, because I don't want to play it in norms and just kind of ruin an entire game. Yeah. I know I need to practice in norms, but I want to get good at them, at least adequate, before I throw games in norms.
Yeah, really just
focus
if you're playing
on
ranked, you're
path.
gonna stick to one role, one champion, and then you can do whatever you want in other game modes. But
and is it okay to dodge if I get a Jax ban, or if I get a autofilled? Is that accepted? Because I have been dodging a lot recently because I keep getting autofilled to ADC where I can play a total of 0 champions.
Anyone who's trying to climb, they'll always dodge when autofilled. I dodge if I get my secondary role, and you can dodge if Jax gets banned if you want, but you might be dodging a little too often depending on how often he gets banned or whatever.
Yeah. So
but
I should try and learn
always
at
dodge
least...
if you're autofilled 100%.
All right, because do you know how much LP it is? It's like 3 LP.
It's 3, dodge, right? And then it's like 15 for your second dodge. I think it stays at 15.
So I should learn one other jungler, one other top, and then I'll be relatively fine, because then the chance of both getting banned are relatively low.
Yeah, you don't really need another top. If Jax gets banned in your top, then that's probably a game where you just dodge anyway.
All right.
Actually, if you want to learn top, you should probably play Garen. He's better than Jax is.
I have been playing Garen. I've been trying him out.
Darius is fine too, so you played Darius.
Yep, Darius I've played. I have a total of a 0% win rate on Darius and a 36% overall, I believe.
The thing about maining jungle is that it's by far the most unique role. So a lot of stuff you learn in jungle isn't going to be very applicable to the other lanes. If you play something like mid, you can easily transition it ADC or top without having to change a lot, but
jungle is also the most
drastically different.
Even games where I played top, the games I played top and did very well, even as Darius, I felt like I had almost no impact on the game, where all other lanes got stomped. Even if the other lanes didn't get stomped, our jungler was worse, their jungler was better, and it was just the game was over. There was nothing we could do. We just lost because of that. It felt like top has, obviously this is probably not true, but I feel like top has almost no impact on the game.
You just obviously need to have different, you need that different playstyle to carry from top compared to jungle.
Because in this game our top hard carried, so obviously he has an impact. But when I played Darius top, I felt like I won lane, completely dominated lane, went 5-0 or 4-0 or something similar, and then that didn't matter at the end of the game.
You want to carry with top Darius, you have to be very good at split pushing.
Isn't that similar with Jax as well, split push a lot?
Yeah, Jax top. Not really Jax jungle though.
Oh yeah, but...
So pushing is probably decently hard to do well.
Basically how I've taken split pushing is we have 3 bot lane or something fighting 3 or something. There's a fight going on somewhere, and then I'm pushing a tower. Or
it's a little more complex. Okay, so let's say you're Jax top and you're winning hard, okay?
Yeah.
So the whole point about carrying with split pushing is you have to be able to at least 1v1 your enemy champion. And it's a lot easier if you can 2v1 if someone else comes for you. So you take out this turret here. And essentially... Okay, so let's say it's 25 minutes. When Baron is up, you need to split push bot lane. Because you're going to drag the enemy champion bot lane with you, and that means you can't get to Baron. If he's top lane, it's easier to get to Baron.
Alright.
And basically, if your team's going for Dragon, you go top. If your team's going for Baron, you go bottom, okay?
Alright.
So you push
in here. So
basically
go the opposite direction of the objective, kind of.
Because
so
that
if my
means
team's all focusing on one objective, I do something that's different, because the team's going to be over there, and I can get objectives while they're not there.
Yeah, because if you're bot lane pushing in and they decide to come for you, like the rest of these guys, your enemies, it means your team has the chance to do Baron, and then they have to walk all the way up here to stop them. If you're a top, this walk is shorter.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you push in this wave, you get the minions underneath the turret. And what's important is that you're always watching the map when you're split pushing.
Because it's high risk.
If these
They're
guys,
gonna collapse.
if the enemy is not mid, you need to back off a bit. If the enemy is mid, and you take the chance to ward here, and what you do essentially is you keep this guy pinned underneath his turret, and you keep, as long as you probably can't dive him in most games. If you can dive him, you can just dive him. But if you can't, you keep him pinned underneath the turret, and you walk into this fog of war, and it forces these guys mid to either walk back, or you just rotate on them, and you get a temporary 4v5 until the top laner responds.
And what can I do in a situation where my camps are cleared, but all of my laners are winning the lane at the moment? They have their enemy pushed under tower. What do I do? Like, the enemy laner is full HP under tower, just kind of tower farming.
Yeah.
What can I do there? Because my jungle camps are gone. I can't really gank because I'd have to tower dive.
So if you can look for dives, if there's no dives, then you're going to be wanting to basically what it's called counter gank the enemy jungler. So if you don't know where the enemy jungler is, you also want to, when you get to higher ranks, you're going to try to track the enemy jungler through the fog of war. But you're going to focus on other things for now until you can do those other things that are more important. So basically try to pinpoint where the enemy jungler is, so we can walk up here and ward this, and just try to make sure your lanes are warded and ward for them and stuff like that. And basically if you see the enemy jungler going for a gank on your lane, you come up there to help your lane, because if your lane's pushing them in, your lane is likely stronger than the enemy lane, right? So in a 2v2 situation, you're probably going to win.
So if my team's winning, basically they're winning all their lanes, I'm just farming. I basically try to make any 2v1s, 3v2s into an equal matchup.
Yeah.
All right.
If your lanes are winning, your job is just to make sure that the enemy jungler doesn't do anything to change that. And then you look for opportunities to dive that will just occur from your lanes winning, and then you do that.
And what do I do as a laner that's getting like camped? If I'm getting really, really hard, like, and I'm beating the enemy laner in 1v1, but I'm consistently getting 2v1 and getting pushed under tower or dying because I'm pushed up too far.
Yeah, so you're going to have to ward a lot, and then the two biggest things to avoid getting ganked is just warding and looking at the map, and then wave management, which is like an extremely complex topic. Basically, the main reason people get ganked is because, let's say that, okay, we'll say we're Mordekaiser. If the minions are always here, you're going to be getting ganked very often because you're so far up. So like, if you keep the minions here, you're not going to be getting ganked as often because it's going to require them to dive you.
Alright. And one thing I've been trying to do more often now is not pushing wave at all and just kind of last hitting. Just only last hitting or second to last hitting instead of actually killing the minions. Instead of like punching them from 100 to 0, I just wait till they get... Is that what you mean by kind of keeping it in the middle, just only last hitting so you get the gold?
Okay, so yeah, it's, like I said, it's very... I'll do sort of a tutorial on wave management. It's very... Okay, so first of all, there's 3 different states the minion wave can be in, okay? It can be pushing towards your enemy, pushing towards you, or it can be not pushing at all, and that's called frozen. Frozen is when it's not pushing, okay?
Yep.
So there's 3 different ways it could be moving. And secondly, there's several different spots that it could be in the lane. So at the start of the game, the minions are like this. So it's frozen, and it's in the middle of the wave, or of the lane. So the lane can be frozen in the middle. It can be frozen in front of our tower, like over here. And what you do to freeze it in front of your tower is you just keep it so that like they always have 1 minion more than you do. That way it'll keep pushing into you, but you kill the minions so that they don't push as fast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then it could also be frozen in front of their tower, okay?
Yeah.
So you want it when you never want it to be frozen in front of their tower. Okay, that's really bad. There's some situations where you want it to be frozen in front of your tower, though.
So as a Jax building a Tiamat that lets me shove waves super hard, I want to like maybe freeze a wave until I have a larger than normal one built up, like a wave and a half or something, then shove it and then go side lane. Or
It depends. It depends. So I'll just explain sort of the pros and cons to each state. So if it's frozen in front of your turret, right? The main advantage of that is you're safe from ganks and you're safe from like the enemy sort of fighting you, because they'll have to, you can just walk back a bit, right, and they'll have to go underneath your turret.
Mm-hmm.
The main disadvantage to it being frozen is that your enemy lane is free to roam because you can't stop them or anything. Generally, people don't roam from lane, because if they roam from lane when it's here and you push it underneath their turret, then they miss out on the minion XP and stuff. But when it's over here, it takes you a lot longer to push it to his turret, so he has more time to roam. Another thing, you cannot freeze it if the enemy is stronger than you. If the enemy is stronger than you, he can just walk into the minions and just, will either fight you and you'll lose, because he has a lot more minions than you, plus he's stronger than you. Or if you don't fight him, he just clears the wave and then it's no longer frozen, right?
Yeah.
So freezing is something that you can only do if you're even with your opponent or if you're stronger than him. It's very good to do when you're stronger than him, because say you're stronger than the enemy and you're keeping the minions locked right here. Your enemy can't come for any last hits, because if he comes too close to last hit, you can just fight him, and then you have this whole lane to chase him down.
Alright.
So freezing is very strong when you're ahead, because it forces, the only thing the enemy can do is roam, because he can't last hit, otherwise you kill him.
So it's very strong when you're up, but very weak when you're down.
Yeah, it's impossible to do when you're behind. Okay, and then, so freezing in front of the turrets, or freezing in the middle, is stuff that can happen. Another thing that can happen is it could just get repeatedly pushed into your turret or the enemy's turret. You basically never want it to be repeatedly pushed into your turret. Well, actually, you do if you're behind. Like, if you're behind, you want it to be pushed into your turret, because it's like the second safest. Now, the first safest is freezing, but if you're behind, you can't do that, so you have to take this. So if it's getting pushed into your turret, the only thing you can do is essentially just farm up. And then, as the minions die, you can sort of look for an opportunity to engage. If you're able to kill him, it depends a lot on the matchup.
Alright.
But basically, a common thing that happens in top is there's a ranged champion versus a melee champion, right? So let's say you have Urgot against Darius or something. What will happen in, let's say Mordekaiser is Urgot. If you're Darius, you can't really farm these minions, because Urgot just starts auto-attacking you and queuing you. And you can't fight him, because if you start walking towards Urgot runs away and then he'll kite you back and forth, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is that as the melee champion, you need to have it pushing in towards your own turret. Because if, like I said, if Urgot freezes it here, you're going to get poked anytime you go for a minion, and you're going to like lose a bunch of health. So basically in every range versus melee matchup, the ranged opponent tries to poke as much as possible, and the melee person tries to not get poked and tries to get as many minions while conserving their HP. And then sort of the tipping point of the matchup is when the minions will die underneath the melee champion's turret. There's sort of like a short window where the melee champion has a chance to engage on them. Because sort of the downside to being ranged is that in a straight up 1v1, melee champions will always beat you, because they have more stats and they're generally just stronger. So the main thing about ranged matchup is when the minions are underneath the turret, you're going to try to poke him as he's taking the casters, but you want to watch for a point where like he can get an engage on you and just win.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like the big thing.
Yeah. So assuming let's just say Jax versus Teemo, should I be using my Q as an engage tool then, since he doesn't have any, since I can stun and then just almost kill him?
Yeah.
Or should I still be using it as a catch? But I should use it as engage then.
Yeah, like I said, and use the Q if you need it to get to him. If you can get to him without the Q, don't
use it.
But like if Teemo is just like, the only reason you use Q later is when you're like behind him and you're in the area where he has to go to. So like if you're over here, Jax needs to go this way. Like if someone's ganking, Jax needs to go this way, which means you can just cut him off. But if you're over here, Jax can just walk that way and you can't cut him off. Okay, we're talking back to lane management. So we talked about freezing. We talked about how you can just push. So there's what's called a hard push and a soft push. A hard push is you try to kill the minions as fast as possible so that you get underneath his turret. You basically want a hard push when the opponent's not there, because the turret will deny him the golden XP from the minions, like we said before. And then you usually take the time to recall, right? Like if your lane opponent ever goes back, you hard push the wave and then recall as well.
So if my opponent's not there and I can't... So if my opponent recalls, I want to recall after shoving the wave, basically.
Yeah, because when your opponent recalls, he's getting full health and mana, and he's spending his gold. So he's basically always going to be stronger than you when he gets back, because he's got items and full health. So like whenever your opponent goes back, you want to try to get back as soon as possible to spend your gold, refill your health and mana.
Assuming that my opponent doesn't back as a top Jax, they don't back, I don't back. Do I wait until I can just full buy a Tiamat before I back, or what?
You generally don't back until you're at a point where you're going to die if you don't back, or you have a very favorable spot to recall.
Usually what ends up happening is we've poked each other a bit, we might both be half health or something, and I'm out of mana, and I'm very close, and I have about enough for Tiamat or very close, and I'll generally back in that circumstance.
Yeah, so when you back, you want to back at a time where you're going to lose the least amount of minions as possible. So, okay, so we talked about the hard push, right? You hard push when they're gone to get as many minions underneath the turret as possible.
Yep.
So the slow push is what you're going to want to do if you want to back in lane, basically. So what the slow push is you make it so that it's pushing into him by killing like one minion, and then you only last hit. And what this is going to do is you're pushing in as slow as possible.
Because I have the minion advantage, but barely.
Yeah.
So they're just doing a tiny bit better.
So since it's pushing in so slow, more minion... Okay, let me skip later in the game and see if like a side lane will slow push. Okay, yeah, so top lane slow pushed here. Okay, so this wave, like you see how it has
more minions,
so it's pushing. But since there's no champion here who's clearing it very fast, so it's pushing slow. I'll rewind it even further. Okay, so yeah, this is where the slow push starts basically. It has more minions here. But since this is pushing in so slow, it allows more minion waves to get here so that the wave stacks up to be really big. Yeah. So if you do that in lane, it's gonna have your opponent's gonna have a lot of minions underneath his turret, which means it takes him longer to clear it, so you have more time to recall and then come back without losing minions. So if you want to recall and your opponent's still there, try to get a slow push going, and then you'll lose the least amount of minions possible.
So if you are, say we're about to push mid, but I'm top at the moment, do I want to go to the minion wave, kill 1 to like 3 minions so I can get a slow push started, and then go to mid, so that eventually when the slow push hits the tower, it's a whole bunch of minions that they end up having to deal with so they have to deal with dragging them away from the fight?
Yeah, that's a good strat that a lot of people will do.
Alright.
Generally though, you can kill like 5 of them, like if it's in the middle, make it push a bit faster.
Alright.
You guys remember, if you start a slow push, you're going to be missing out on minions too, so you have to make sure that they don't get it. Because like this slow push here, it killed this wave and it kills this wave, which is gold denied from you. So if they were able to rotate here and pick it up, then it would be more beneficial for them than it actually was for you. So yeah, if you want to recall in lane and your opponent like is still there, you can slow push so that you lose the least amount of minions as possible, basically. The whole goal is that when you're backing, the wave wants to be pushing towards you. And the easiest way to do that is to bounce it off the turret, because when it hits the turret, it'll always push back to you.
So I've obviously heard that in low elos, the best way to rank up and to get better is just be better at farming, basically. And I'd say in a very average game, like a 4.2 CS per minute, which isn't good, obviously.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
So yeah,
in a game where I had an AFK laner, like I had free lane the entire game, I had a 6.9, I believe. And that was with an AFK enemy laner, free towers every time, just being able to completely push, and I had a 6.9.
So yeah, if you can't last at the minions, you want to sit in custom game for a bit and focus lasting. But a lot of bronze people aren't really terrible at actually lasting. They just lose a lot of minions because they recall at really bad times, or they'll sit mid. And you see how, like, your team is pushing here. Okay, I'll rewind it a bit. So this is a really bad thing that your team happened. So here you could have. So someone on your team could have gone here and picked up these waves, like you could have done this. But you decided to go mid, so that's like a trade-off you have to make. Ideally, when you're pushing mid like this, you want both these side lanes to be pushing in towards the enemy, not pushing in towards you. Because when they're pushing in towards you, you have to make the choice. Do we keep the pressure up on them?
Here,
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
so like the best setup here would have been to set up a small slow push onto theirs and then push mid.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
it takes their attention, because they have to deal with one or the other. Either we get free turret damage and they lose XP, or they lose the fight.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. But here, sometimes it's just going to happen like this, and you have to make the choice. Like, right now, do you go top, get these minions, and hope that your team doesn't make a risky fight here? Or do you let these minions fall and try to force something?
What would have been the better option here? In your opinion,
just take these minions here and like bring your team back. Because it's less risky. I don't really like doing the risky stuff, especially when you're ahead. Oh yeah, you guys aren't even really ahead. It's kind of even, but just get these lanes pushing out again. Like, basically my mentality is, your goal is obviously to be the better player than the enemy is. And if you're the better player, then you can just play the game slower and not as risky, and you'll just win every time if you're the better player.
Is there any itemization differences that you would change from this? Generally speaking, as a top Jax, I'd build Trinity, Tabi, Sojin, Sterix Gauge, Hydra because I built Tiamat, and then GA. Is there anything that you would personally change there?
That sounds fine enough. Yeah, that's fine.
So generally speaking, my items, since I'm using Blitz and kind of auto-filling my items for lack of a better term, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, they're not optimal, but they're way better than what I could think of or what an average bronze player is probably building.
Yeah, those items are fine.
Alright, that's good.
Was there anything else I wanted to say? We talked about slow pushing. Okay, yeah, I guess that's basically all I have to say, I guess.
Alright,
There's a lot of information there.
Yeah. Would you mind if I asked you a question for a friend?
Sure.
He plays a lot of Kayn, and he was kind of wondering, like, red versus blue, if he gets a lot of red, but he's on a more blue heavy, like a composition that would benefit more from going blue. Would it be okay to wait like the time to just go that blue if they have a lot of like squishy champions to go the assassin rather than the sustain? Like, is the 4-minute or 5-minute wait okay if it's gonna benefit him in the long run to go blue rather than red?
Let me think. You really only go blue Kayn if you're snowballing hard already?
So red is the preferred one.
Yeah, red is like the general one, unless you're like hard stomping on people. You just go red because red is just better.
Because he... Oh, right, because of the airborne and stuff. That makes sense. Yeah, alright.
Yeah, the blue one is just good if you're popping off.
So if we're already winning, so like he already has 2 successful ganks like 7 minutes in, and we already have like it's already like 10-2 or 10-3, then blue might be better there to just keep snowballing the game.
Yeah. Teams generally don't benefit from having like an extra assassin. Most teams are going to have your mid lane damage and your ADC damage, so...
Make sure to tell him that, because he thought blue was better. He's been trying red, though. Thank you. That's really helpful. Yeah, you've been a really big help.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there... Do I need to, like... Or should I, Is there a way for me to, like, give a review or something so I can give you a positive one?
Yeah, there's a review channel in the Discord thing. I think you have to wait for like the admin to message you, because the admins will check to see like if I actually did coach you like I said I did, and I think he might ask you to make a review then. Not sure. This is my first time coaching someone on that Discord, so...
Is it the Legends coaching or the...
Yeah, it's the Legends coaching one.
Alright.
So yeah, the admin should message you sometime in the next few days, and then he might ask you to make a review. If he doesn't, then you can just make it whenever you want. There's a little chat there for it.
Yeah. If he doesn't message you within like a day or 2, then I'll make sure to do it.
Alright, thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.